I always knew I was different. My desires, my cravings, they were not of this world. Born into wealth and privilege in post-war Japan, I was a frail child, both physically and emotionally. My fantasies were dark, twisted, and consumed me entirely. I yearned to possess, to consume, to make another human being a part of me in the most literal sense. In 1977, I moved to Paris to pursue a PhD in literature at the Sorbonne. It was there that I met René Hartevelt, a Dutch student with a radiant spirit and an intellect that captivated me. We became friends, often discussing literature and philosophy. But beneath the veneer of our intellectual exchanges, my dark desires festered. On June 11, 1981, I invited René to my apartment under the pretense of working on poetry translations. As she read aloud, I stood behind her, trembling with anticipation and fear. I retrieved a rifle I had prepared earlier, aimed at the back of her neck, and pulled the trigger. The sound was deafening, yet the world felt eerily silent in that moment. Her lifeless body slumped forward, and I was left alone with my dark desires. I had planned this meticulously, yet standing over her, I was paralyzed. Hours passed before I could bring myself to act. With a knife, I began to fulfill my grotesque fantasy, consuming parts of her flesh in a ritualistic manner. The act was both a culmination of my deepest desires and an immediate descent into a personal hell. Over the next 2 days, I continued my macabre indulgence, photographing each step to immortalize the experience. But reality soon intruded. The stench of decay became overwhelming, and I knew I had to dispose of her remains. I dismembered her body, placing the parts into 2 suitcases, and called a taxi to take me to the Bois de Boulogne park. My plan was to discreetly leave the suitcases there, but fate had other designs. As I attempted to leave the scene, I caught the attention of passers-by who noticed blood seeping from the luggage. Panic set in, and I fled, leaving the suitcases behind. The police were alerted, and it didn't take long for them to trace the crime back to me. I was arrested at my apartment, where they found further evidence of my heinous acts. Declared legally insane by French authorities, I was committed to a mental institution. However, due to legal technicalities and my father's influence, I was extradited to Japan, where I was promptly declared sane by Japanese psychologists. Yet, because the French authorities had sealed the court documents, the Japanese courts lacked sufficient evidence to prosecute me. I was released from custody in 1986, a free man. My freedom was met with public outrage, but I remained unrepentant. I capitalized on my notoriety, writing books, giving interviews, and even appearing in films. Society's morbid curiosity became my livelihood. I reveled in infamy, yet I was forever haunted by my actions. Now, decades later, I live a reclusive life, my health deteriorating, my past ever looming. I am a pariah, a living testament to the darkness that can reside within the human soul. My story is not one of redemption, but of a man consumed by his own monstrous desires, forever tormented by the ghost of René Hartevelt.